Hey there. A year later. Can you believe it? Gosh, we've met so many interesting. Oh, we should probably intro, huh? Should we go back and intro?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What would happen if we just told the truth?
Welcome to TruthWorks, where we dig into the nitty-gritty of leadership and work.
And what needs to change? I'm Jessica Neal.
And I'm Patty McCord.
Our journey together started in HR, but trust us, it's evolved into something wild, honest, and, well, a bit rebellious.
So throw out the handbook. We're here to redefine rules to work for us, not against us.
Let's dive into another episode. Hey, we're on another episode of TruthWorks.
And we're feeling a bit nostalgic today because this is our 1-year anniversary.
Happy birthday to
us. Yeah. But what we want to do today is kind of reminisce and think about some of our favorite podcasts that we've done over the last year. And it's hard.
I know, it's really hard. And I just got goosebumps. I know I always say that on the show, but I just want to say that doing this podcast gives me so much joy. Like, it just does. And you were just talking about this. Like, we talk to these people.
We do.
And every single time I get off of one, I'm like, oh my God, like, I learned so much. That person was amazing. And I think we are achieving what we set out to do, which was to tell the truth about a lot of things, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, me too. And I was going to say, I hope so, but I know so because I go back and listen to the episodes and I feel the same way as you. And one of the things I really miss about working, in a company is all the great people I get to interview. And the great news about this one is, like, there's no duds.
Right. I know.
all these people are really interesting. And I do, sometimes I read the bios and I think, I don't know if I'm going to learn anything from this one. And those are kind of the ones where I step back.
They're the ones that we learn the most from.
For example, I was looking at some of our favorites, and one of our favorites is Donna Morris, who is the CHRO of Walmart.
During the pandemic, in one period of time, there were a lot of companies early on furloughing talent, like the airlines, hotels, service restaurants, because everybody was closing. We, on the other hand, were having to feed America and other countries and markets where we operated. We hired 500,000 people in 6 weeks. How did we do that? All of a sudden, we turned 24-hour hiring on. And we did online assessments. We decided, you know what? We don't need to background check everyone. We can background for anomalies. We don't have to background for everyone. And we basically said, as a comfort level, if they go through the filter of our assessments that are customer-oriented and they come out on the other side as positive, let's bring them on board. Let's get them on our team and let's see what happens. We hired phenomenal people.
Oh my God. I mean, having the responsibility for so many employees.
Yeah, like over 2 million people. That's like a small country.
They were so thoughtful about literally everybody in the company.
Yeah.
I loved that the associates, I forget what they call them, team members or whatever.
Associates, yeah.
Associates were like, there was a real recognition that the people that you see when you walk into a Walmart store are recognized by the company as the face to the customer. Yeah. And that was absolutely one of my faves, was just to talk to somebody. You and I talk a lot about working with companies and our added value is when they scale. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. I know. And like the whole thing that she was talking about, and I see, because I follow her on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Hey, Donna, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
It's like that people-led, tech-powered. They really live that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really hard to do at their scale. I don't know. She's just fascinating.
You probably get the same questions I do, like, who do you admire that's a company that's doing good stuff? And they want me to say another tech company.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found through our interviews with people was some of the most thoughtful, innovative work out there is not from other CHROs at other tech companies. It's
No,
from all over the
I
spectrum.
just thought of another episode that we didn't even put on our list. Sachin.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't he great?
For those of us who care about this issue, if we're out there selling it in terms of a workforce necessity, we're going to kind of run out of steam. Like it really has to be something that parents and people who care about their communities are thinking about the child's experience and what we need for our kids in our community. And then you kind of actually feel that desire, to do.
Right,
to do
because
more.
it's more, there's more mission and purpose behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for example, there was Sachin, CEO of a manufacturing company, who was really reaching down to figure out how to make the employees at his very old family-run manufacturing organization in the Midwest. And the way he was thinking about the people that he worked with and childcare and what they actually dealt with every day was a great example of innovation that we don't see very often.
No, we don't. He was amazing.
Want to talk about Ted?
I love Ted. You love Ted.
So one thing that was really helpful for me in my current position as co-CEO is there's a lot of things that I oversee 1 or 2 layers removed that I don't know how to do. I don't know the answer. But I really focus on knowing the question and trying to get to the place that, as you know, Patty, from the beginning of the company, very much an engineering culture, very much data driven. And I think if I look back at it, the thing I brought in was a little bit more intuition.
Another one we had on our list was nostalgic and really fun. And that's when we interviewed Ted Sarandos, the co-CEO of Netflix, and one of our buddies from Forever and Forever. And what was fun about that was we dived deeply into Ted's origin story.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew this about him and you knew this about him, but I don't know that the world knew about when I remember interviewing
Community
him.
School Dropout.
And just what a movie, what a crazy movie fan he's always been. And I think that one of the things that Ted's background brought to our, at the time I was there, very techie company, was his just deep love for the creative process and for content and for movies and the thrill of being part of all that. And so that was also one that I really enjoyed doing.
Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the things people probably didn't understand too is that us making that shift into making content and producing content was a big bet that he took.
Oh my God.
Right? And that was the House of Cards.
It was scary.
So scary.
It was a bet the farm move.
Yeah. And well, good bet.
Yep. Bet farm's doing well. I loved having my friend Kara Swisher on.
I know. That was our very first episode.
So one of the things that fueled a lot of that for me was I hate to bellyache about where I am. Like, oh, I don't like my boss. It's always someone else's fault. But I'm not like that. I'm like, I always think it's not someone else's fault. They might be a jerk, but it's my fault for staying, right? I can pick my ass up and go somewhere.
We
love
you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is our mission from God. So if you hate it, walk.
Leave.
Right.
Speaking of people that you follow that really speak truth to power, Kara always has too. And that interview was also about Kara's origin story.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that you and I bring to the podcast is our love of interviewing.
Could be.
It's
well,
true.
We're just very curious.
But it was like, how did you end up to be Kara Swisher? Like, how did you get there? And it was so fascinating. And she continues to be somebody who deeply understands the tech bro world, for those of you that are not familiar with the tech bro world, but now you are.
But you know what I love about her is she is who she is.
Yeah.
She's not kissing anybody's ass. She's not, she really is just out to tell the truth. And every time you see her, you read about her, something she wrote, that's her mission. And I don't know, it's unwavering and it's just cool that she one, has set out to tell the truth, but two, just doesn't really care what anybody thinks about it.
Yeah, I think she's an inspiration for both of us too,
Yeah.
to try and keep that in our podcast, to be constantly seeking like not advice for people, but like, okay, here's how it works.
Right.
Right. It's not so much about solutions always. It's about ideas and inspirations and rethinking things instead of doing them the way they've always done them.
Yeah. One of my favorites, Patty, was when we had Nirav Toya on, who is the CEO and founder of Nextdoor, who got fired and then rehired.
In May of 2018, I got on the phone with Patty. And Patty said, I've talked with your board. You're in a tough spot. This is not going to be easy. Let's see if we can get you some help. I don't know what's going to happen. Right. And so even hearing that, remember, this is not a company that I came into.
Right.
It's a company that I created.
Yeah.
This is not a board that I inherited. It's a board that I chose.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it feels a little bit more like a family at that point. And, this gets to all the Netflix stuff about we're not a family, right? Like we're a team.
Yep.
And you realize that it's a business. It's a business. And if you don't perform, and the other thing you realize, and I would love for people listening to take this away, sometimes even if you're getting all the right advice, even if you have all the resources at your disposal, even if you have the best CEO coach, until you fall down, until you fail, your ears aren't really open.
Mm-hmm.
Your eyes aren't really seeing what's going on. And so when I reflect a little bit, I remember going through this and realizing really in many ways for the first time, all the areas where I needed to grow.
You and I have known him for a very long time. We knew him when, we knew him now, and the journey that he has made as a leader and the change and the reflection.
Okay. Nirav and I have not always had a smooth path together.
Yeah.
Right. We've had some very bumpy roads. And I got to tell you, I was kind of eclamped, like how far he's come and how willing he is to be a better man and be a better leader. And what was really interesting about his journey that I think I've seen in my career is sometimes, man, hitting rock bottom is the best thing that can ever happen to you because you realize how much was propped up by your ego and the other people around you telling you, oh, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly not being so.
Right. And he talks about that in the podcast, how he hit rock bottom and just think he wouldn't have learned all those things had he not. The self-awareness that he has now and the approach that he has to leadership now is just evolved in such an elegant way, right? And I don't know, I'm just really proud of him.
Yeah, me too. Me too. That was a great one. The other thing that I find is really fascinating is people that we haven't worked with and we don't really know that much about. And we kind of go into it cold. And one of them was Matt Bean.
Different people can follow their nose, but you need to not just get good at a skill, but it's get good at building a portfolio of skills. And that way you're better able to digest the complexity of your environment so that you can handle surprises, you can predict them. Skill is not just a way to get better results under pressure. It has to do with our life purpose and meaning. Like, why are you building skill in the first place? Oh, to make money. Huh? How come? Well, because reasons. Those reasons get a little closer to why we get up out of bed in the morning, why we want to get good at something. Is it status? Is it leaving a legacy? Is it producing something in the world? It has to do with redeeming what our life is about.
I love Matt
Do
Bean.
we love, we
Oh
heart
my
Matt
God.
Bean.
It was fascinating. I mean, the learning that he learned about learning in the operating room and how it just impacted all these residents and they're not getting the experience and these rogue people are going up on YouTube watching how to do surgery and that's how they're learning how to do it. I was like, good Lord. It also opened my eyes to the medical community in a way that I don't know.
I think that was a great example of how much we learned.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we just sort of went in like, so tell us your story. And it was such an interesting story. And the other thing was it gave me a really great insight into, there's so much talk about AI and the AI is going to take all our jobs and blah, blah, blah. But it was very specific. The way he's thinking about AI, but it was an example of, wow, this could change a lot of people's lives and make them a lot better. And so if you want to hear a story of something that is like not bad news about this evil new technology, this is a really good episode to learn from.
I know. The other one, just, and I'm going off script here too, because I just thought about somebody else, but it was the neurologist, Richard Sitowick.
I think it's hugely distracting in the workplace. And, my advice is minimize distractions. The open workspace is the worst possible environment whatsoever because you're distracted all the time. And once you are distracted, it takes about 11 to 23 minutes to get back to what you were doing. So
Is that true?
Yes, the research is very, very firm on this. And so the question is, how does anybody ever get anything done if you're constantly distracted? I mean, the ability to have an office where you shut the door, it's heaven's blessing.
He was so fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love that conversation. And just the way that he was talking about how our brains work. And I really never thought that like the brain that we have currently is the same brain that you had in the caveman years. Like it's the same brain.
Yeah.
But we're doing drastically different things with our brain than we were doing then.
Yeah. And that's another one where, we're looking at the bio going, neurologist. Okay.
Sounds great.
Just why don't you lead this one?
He was so great. And then his story too.
Yeah.
Like growing up gay in his generation and in his town and how that was like looked downly on. And he was like, I'm going to go tell the truth for these people.
Can we quote you on looked downly? Yes.
I didn't know the right word.
Jessica Neal is referring to a neurologist as a guy who is looked downly upon.
I was trying to
showing her caveman brain.
Yeah, my caveman brain. I was trying to be politically correct and think about the right word, and it didn't come out right. Because you get in trouble for what you say these days.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But he was fascinating. One, I was just looking through our list that a lot of people have referenced, and you, I think, were sick or something, but it was Joanne Lublin. When I'm at work, I feel guilty that I'm not with the child. And when I'm with him, I feel guilty that I'm not doing all I need to do for work. Like it's like an endless thing. Like the guilt is overwhelming at times.
It is overwhelming and it is hugely unproductive. It is a waste of valuable energy.
I agree, but how do you not waste energy?
You look at the 10 hacks that are in that chapter, one of which is the notion that self-care is not selfish care.
She wrote this book, Power Moms, and she was just talking about like, it's not about work-life balance, it's sway.
Explain sway to me.
Sway is you got to sway both ways, right? So you sway over here, you sway over there. It's not about having the perfect balance. It's about swaying.
Yeah.
I don't know. Her story was just fascinating. And she did she had her husband sign a marriage contract and they did it together. And and it was like before they got married and they had a lawyer draw it up. And it wasn't like a prenup. It was like a marriage contract. And it was like, the duties that you'll do, the duties that I'll do. And for your career, we'll do this. And for my career, we'll do this. And if you have to move for your career, we'll move for a year. And then I have to move for my career, we'll move for another. But they like worked it all out. And I was like, God, I should have done that. I mean, it was like, who's going to take out the laundry, or the trash? I was like, they 50-50 household duties. I was like, that's genius.
That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, she was cute. I mean, Patty, it was so hard to pick favorites.
I know.
I mean, and just like going through and reminiscing about all the cool people we've had the privilege to talk to. I don't know. I just feel so grateful that people would spend time with us, but also like, I've just learned so much.
Me too. I keep thinking about, like, after a while we got where we would end every conversation with, will you come back? Will you come back? And I hope our listeners got as caught up in the learning as we did, because this has been a really fun year in that we've met so many terrific people and we've reconnected with people that we love, and we get to just keep on doing it, huh?
I know, but the one thing I'll say is I have loved just being with you.
Oh, me too, Bunky.
Because it means that, like, every week I get to see you and be with you, even though I'm not touching you.
Yeah, but, I would say that I love every week we keep doing something that we both love intellectually, right? And that is meeting and learning from new people. And I think that if there's any thread of you and I and our working together, it's that exciting. I mean, sometimes I get off the podcast and I think about a one-on-one with you, right? and I've got an agenda and you've got an agenda, but instead, one of us will start out and go, you wouldn't believe this guy I interviewed this morning, or this woman was unbelievable. I can't wait until she makes a contribution to the company, right? And that curiosity and that sort of excitement about what people are going to do with their lives is
cut
great.
From a similar cloth,
from the same cloth. It's an old calico
You know
bonnet.
what I am excited for our listeners to hear is the episode that we recorded earlier this week.
I know.
Oh, God.
I know. Just
so
another one. Did it give you goosies?
It did. It gave me goosies. But that one's good, you guys. You better tune in.
Yep. So thanks for listening, everybody. For those of you who have listened to any of our podcasts from the last year.
You. And we are honored.
Keep tuning in.
Yay. Love you, Patty.
Love ya. Thanks for listening to TruthWorks. This episode was produced by Megan Hayward. Thank you to Kathleen Speckert and the whole Edit Audio team.